Watching two retards hit each other in the balls repeatedly on the seesaw while playing the kazoo with their asses isn't your cup of tea. This weekend, for me, something a lot more substantial finally came into wide release. Whiplash is a psychological thriller that is rare even in our house cinemas. It deserves every shred of praise it gets for all the right reasons. Being a huge fan of jazz bands and a drummer myself, I felt compelled to see this movie. Now, I'm technically a metal drummer right now, which requires nothing but bashing aimlessly like a toddler on the kitchen table, but I try to switch it up a bit. Uh, in jazz drumming, the major difference is that their sets have two cymbals instead of one, and they're all about technique. But if you're going to compare like Keith Moon to Buddy Rich, no comparison, crab apples and tangelos. But what does jazz mean to this new, shy but ambitious young university student played by Miles Teller, who's really noteworthy in all the training he must have taken to nail the technique? And what does it mean to his Machiavellian drill sergeant teacher, J.K. Simmons? And does it mean creativity or just following the formula? I mean, this kid cannot be broken. I spent the entirety of the movie admiring his pluck in the face of this decapitating adversity that is obviously manufactured, so he'll succeed, or so he'll break down. It's really a test. It's just a test, and either way it goes, we're supposed to trust that that's the way it was meant to go. Uh, this kid cries, he sweats, and he bleeds like hell. He bleeds like a stuck pig to be the best drummer in the world. But who for? Who for? Is it worth it? This compact little movie perverts the teacher-student relationship in such strange, new ways. I mean, it is a battle of wills, and by the end, there is a kind of truce seeping through the power of music, and it's a beautiful scene. It's a montage of just this collage of just shots after shot, just cut so jaggedly, and it becomes natural over time, the editing style. But who won? You still don't really know. It is a competition, but the outcome is up to you, really. And what I like best about it is not so much what a manipulative, foul-mouthed, Full Metal Jacket type lunatic J.K. Simmons is, except he's more sadistic, and you don't really ever know what his motives are. It was best to keep him as a mysterious kind of character. And even though when you finally do think you know what his motives are, you don't. I mean, I would have kicked his ass way earlier on. He is an asshole because, of course, I'm already an anarchic genius. But for people who aren't, people who are built on faint praise and cheers from parents on the sidelines who got a trophy for just playing with the dandelions in the fields, how we celebrate keeping your head down and staying mediocre in today's world. Yeah, you need this guy. He'll push you to greatness like no other. Of course, it is a question of how perseverant you are. Not everyone who is crushed physically and emotionally is going to become a diamond. Supposedly, this is why Simmons goes out on his little treasure hunts, appearing as a silhouette behind closed doors at the beginning of the movie. And what Whiplash does is it just looks at how passionate this kid is, how he's spat upon by everyone else at his family in this painful dinner scene as a reality for a lot of people who can't bring themselves to live aboard. There's built-up ego based on how hard you work, and I guess the movie argues that if you practice relentlessly and bleed for something, that's probably not worth it. It's not even a job, really. It's just being in a prestigious jazz band. Like, he starts being an arrogant shithead to everyone else because he needs to impress his abusive ruler. So it really says something about how much ground a small, seemingly unimportant film like this covers when it questions the values of how to move mountains. But it has a whole shaky, edgy, coffee on an empty stomach feel to it. And I left the theater with nothing but drums in my head. You know, it affects me. And as a drummer, I submerge myself in the beats just to keep me awake. And I can visualize them in my head as I walk down the street. So it's deeply affecting for me. And that's why jazz is so great. It's just built on improvisation and just showing what you get out of life. And because of if this kid is anything like me, the beat pulsates to life itself. That's where the drumming comes from, the energies of the universe, as do all melodies and instrumental fibers. But if you want to go far back, drumming is more of a tribal thing. It's all about pinpointing where those exact rhythms lie, and the instrument's job are just to make them soar. So this is a thankless, suffering role Teller plays, looking like he just did a masturbation marathon for a charity not of his choice, and this will surely get a spot on my top 10 movies of the year. It stays rooted in the mind games of its characters, and it masters what it knows. And it stays in its world, even with its twists. Whiplash is not to be missed. The trailer and my blog are linked below.